remarriage is different than marriage. The couples that thrive in it, they knew the assignment. What you have to prepare for is different than how you prepare for your first marriage.
If you don't recognize how remarriage raises the stakes, you risk repeating the same mistakes
Over and over again.
Hey guys, welcome to Remarried Love, the best new relationship podcast for everyday men and women who desire to be married again. If this is your first time listening to this show, welcome. This podcast is a safe space to heal from a divorce and grow into a new you. Whether you are recently singled or already remarried, this podcast is for you. We are your hosts, D
and Aki.
And we're going to have candid, heartfelt conversations about the journey to a healthy remarriage.
We are so glad you're here. In this episode, we are going to discuss 5 ways remarriage raises the stakes and how smart couples prepare.
Yeah, remarriage isn't just a second chance. It's a higher stakes game most couples underestimate.
And it's interesting because there are challenges with remarriage that most couples don't see, and that happened to us. Like, we really needed counseling and someone to help and guide us, and when we went through that, we were just like so thankful. So we want to do that today. We want to discuss some things. Remarriage is different from marriage.
It is different, and if you don't recognize how remarriage raises the stakes, you risk repeating the same mistakes.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No.
And, you know, in our remarriage, we had counseling from the beginning. Well, we had pre-counseling, pre-marriage. Yes. Yeah. Some of the things that were brought up were interesting because we never even thought of them for our remarriage because we didn't even know to think of it. So we're going to share some of those things, you know, with you because there's challenges that you don't see coming if you're basing it on your old marriage.
That's true. And so the first topic we're going to talk about is the emotional baggage multiplier.
In remarriage.
In remarriage. There's a lot of baggage that you're taking from your previous marriage, and you may be unconsciously bringing them into your new marriage.
Yes. So you really want to have emotional maturity when you come into a remarriage.
Yes.
And if that's something that you're working on, that's great because you'll need it.
Oh, you're going to need it because there's a lot of things to do in a remarriage.
One is the trust. You have to build trust with another person, especially if there was betrayal or there is infidelity, things like that. You will know that you'll still have feelings in your new marriage that you're going to have to address.
Yeah. And another thing you want to deal with is the fear of repeating those past mistakes I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people, when they think about their previous marriage, they think about what went right and what went wrong. And so you have a lot of thought processes, feelings, and just ways of going forward in your new marriage. And you're thinking it may be the same as your previous marriage, but it's not.
Mm-hmm. So with that emotional baggage, you really want to make sure that any hidden wounds you're addressing because they will come up in your marriage. A lot of people feel like I just can't afford another divorce emotionally or financially.
Yeah.
And that's how they're coming into the remarriage. So the help or the support that you'll need with that is real for us.
That's because I believe when we first got together and we got married, we didn't have that secure bond yet. We didn't develop that. And so
we took everything a little bit more sensitive, maybe. I don't know, like if you said something, if you said something to me, I'd be like, well, I'm this or I'm doing that and you're doing that. I mean, it was really,
there's a lot of pointing fingers.
It was a lot of defensive
and defensiveness and saying you this and you that.
Yeah.
That's not what we want to do to have a successful remarriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we want to get past being defensive in our communication, we have to heal.
We have to heal, and we have to remember we're on the same team.
We're on the same team.
I think that was the best advice that was given, and for us to learn how to flow in that, to learn how to flow on the same team, because we ended our marriages, our first marriage, being
battling. You feel like the other person is on somebody else's team. Right. They're not on your team.
And you can get habits of that. You can bring that habit over to your new marriage.
Yes.
So I'm battling my spouse instead of being on one accord with them.
I remember one day being in a seminar where someone brought out a tic-tac-toe, and there's X's and there's zeros or O's. Mm-hmm. And they said, play the game. They told us all to play the game, right? And so everybody's trying to win. Everybody's trying to beat, who's an X? They're trying to beat the O's. Right. If you're an O, you're trying to beat the X's. And then they said, okay, now work together and do this. And what they meant by that was you're on the same team. If you are X's, so if your last name is the Johnsons or the Chavaskis or whatever it may be.
What last names are those?
Well, that could be a Russian name. I'm not sure. But my thing is, whatever it is, you're all on the same team. Yes. That's my point. Mm-hmm. We want to be on the same team. So that means that if we're X, we're going to both agree that we're going to go right here. This is our move. So that means that we're going to have agreement for our next move.
And I think with that, it's been said that remarriage isn't about two people. It's about two histories entering the room.
Yeah, it is. You have a history. I have a history.
Yeah.
Every last one of us has our own prior history. And so we have to heal from that. And we have to make sure that we're not pretending that we're healing. So one of the things that we like to discuss with Remarried Love is that if we're going to talk about healing, let's talk about real healing, not pretend healing, so that we can go forward into the next level.
Now, what's real healing?
Real healing to me versus pretending is if someone asks you, are you okay? Don't lie. No, I'm not okay. I didn't like what you did. I didn't like what you said. There was something that, happened.
Well, we're supposed to say it made me feel this way.
Well, you're right. It should say that.
We don't attack each other.
I'm not attacking, but what I'm trying to say is we're not going to lie to ourselves or the other person and say, yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, you have to.
I'm really not okay.
Right.
Because then I'm going to feel that frustration is going to go under the rug. And now 5, 10, 15 years later, what you did to me back then, I still remembered it because I didn't get rid of it. And I was pretending that I was healed, but I really wasn't healed.
And another thing that we dealt with was being able to recover quickly.
Yes.
We noticed that both of us in an argument, it took us down longer than it ever did in any other conflicts we may have had with our exes or just anybody.
Other people, yeah.
It just was like if we got to the point where we're arguing, we had a hard recovery time. We had to learn that.
And I think that happens sometimes, especially when you actually love that person. You want to be in alignment with that individual, but you're misaligned. Things are not working correctly.
Or the trigger came in. So
yes,
you're saying something to your spouse. Let's say I'm like, why didn't you take the trash out? And you may be like, well, I don't know why you said it like that.
Just for the record, I'm not sure if that was one of the arguments or upsetness.
No, I'm just giving an example that, we haven't had that one. Maybe we should think of a real one we've had.
A real misalignment? Yes.
Yeah, that we've had, that we had to work through that of how we say things to each other. I may question you about... It could have been
something really simple.
Yeah, usually it is with a remarriage. I think it was the tone that I may have asked you.
Okay.
I know. I said... Well, I told you something. I just meant it I told you, but you didn't like the way I worded it. Mm-hmm. And so it made you upset, but it was loaded with other things that I didn't do.
Because I'm saying, why didn't you ask me this?
Right. And
you're telling me this, you're telling me that, but you're not asking. So that could be a trigger.
Right. And what I noticed or what I realized is you weren't mad. You weren't mad, but it didn't rub you it didn't rub you the right way, not just because of me. It was your past.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of history and a lot of triggers that people are coming to new relationships with that they haven't dealt with. And also what I believe is there's unconscious triggers, things that you didn't know affected you back then. And so now someone says or does something or they move a certain way, and now that makes you explode. It makes you go off. It makes you talk to your spouse with a little
with
discontent.
like a little bitterness. And I think for me, that's one thing I had to check. Like, I am saying this, but I feel like a little bitterness, and you didn't really do anything for me to feel so deeply or so angry
On 100.
like like I'm on 100 for something that should have been just a 3. So that is one thing, or one area that remarriage raises the stakes.
It does.
And that's why remarriages don't have a
good percentage of
successful
success. Yeah.
remarriages. And I think it's because that emotional tension and that emotional multiplier that is in remarriage isn't addressed correctly.
Yes.
But you can plan, you can prepare your remarriage so that the emotional triggers don't bring you down.
Well, one of the things I like what you've done is you've helped explain that if you understand that there are emotional triggers, then you can be aware unconsciously that something can come up.
That's
because
not
if you don't,
from you. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you don't know about it, then you're like, well, what is this? What are we dealing with? Why are you talking to me like that? And now you don't have the fact that, oh, these things could come up.
Oh, that person dealt with that.
Yes. It allows you to give grace.
Yeah,
too.
I didn't realize that. And now I understand, which in turn, like what we were saying, helps you to recover quicker.
Yes.
Which you're going to have to do. Like remarriage and recovering from your feelings have to go hand in hand.
We were talking about sports, and so that's what we were getting it from, which is you have to recover faster. You can't
get back in there.
Get back in the game, recover.
You have to go to the tent. That's like in the football.
That's football. And then come back.
Come back and play.
And play this game.
And
Let's
keep
do
going.
it. Yeah. Be the best professional that you can be.
And I don't know if like we learn that if we're married and we're hurt, then we're like done. And maybe that was like how we were dealing with things at the end of a marriage. Like, well, I'm done. And we just have this done mentality, but you can't be done. You have to not.
No, you're just starting. So you were done before and you had, but now you have a continuation of it because you didn't deal with it. But now this is a fresh, new created remarriage.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a new creation, and it's a new remarriage that you're going forward in. It's the beginning. Whether it's been 10, 15 years, it's still the beginning because you want to do this for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Okay, so you've probably heard us mention this before.
We were the children of divorced parents, and we both have been divorced ourselves.
And now we're 15 years strong in our remarriage journey. So trust us when we say we get it when starting over and building a new life together. If you're ready to reclaim your power in love, life, and money, I wrote Power Over All just for you. It's real, it's encouraging, and it's meant to walk with you as you heal and grow. There's also a companion journal to help you track your progress and reflect all year long. Grab your copy today and step fully into the power God already gave you. Links in the description. Now let's get back to the episode. Number 2 is that the financial stakes are higher and more complex in a remarriage.
Yes, they're very much more complex because you're coming in with having maybe more children, having assets, built businesses, investments. You're dealing with, things, debt from your prior relationship. So there's a lot of financial things that people deal with coming in. And so you and your new spouse have to overcome all of those previous challenges.
And if you have a lot of things that you want to protect, then the conversation about prenups needs to happen, because if that's really a deterrent for you, like I don't trust, or, I need to make sure my assets are covered for my children, or however you're thinking, then this is why people even bring that up. And some people are like, well, it's not really love if you have it, but remarriage is not all about love. It's about building a new life together. A prenup doesn't, I would say,
it doesn't seem like it's a loving thing.
Yeah,
to have a prenup. When people hear that word, it hasn't gotten a good rap.
Yeah.
I'll just say it like that.
And the prenup doesn't have to govern how you interact in your marriage. The prenup is supposed to help if this marriage dissolves. That's really what the protection is.
I would say also it's more than just if it dissolves, because if it dissolves, yes, we understand that part. But also it gives you a security and a clarity of what we are going to do in this marriage financially.
There's also a need for transparency, financial transparency in remarriage, because there are, children's inheritance sometimes for people who have children. There is child support and how that affects the budget.
And these are for children outside of the house. Or inside, there's different. You have children outside of the house, and you have children inside the house.
Any children that you have to be clear about that, because people don't play about their kids. So you want to have a level of transparency that may have been totally different in your marriage.
And clarity is key.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be clear on what's happening with the money.
Yes.
What's going on? Where do we stand? How much do we have? You want to understand, what are we putting it in? What are we staying away from? There's a lot of things that should be discussed during this part.
And when you were re-singled, you weren't remarried, you were in the single stage, you might have had a certain spending style. And I say that, in our situation, both of us were working when we got together. Okay. So we had our own money, our own accounts,
our own places.
And so then we had to decide, like, okay, how are we going to do this? That was a discussion. I don't think it was a tough discussion. I just think it was, hey, we have to have this up front. How do we want to go about this when we're married?
And the reason we had those discussions is because we wanted to become one with each other in this remarriage. We're trying to eliminate anything that's going to keep us apart or harm the remarriage.
Yeah, and we wanted to be strategic about what our money is going to be doing in the future. Because one of the things we talked about is we wanted to have children ourselves. Together. So then how does that look? And then that's when I told you I would rather not work while we have children. You were like, well, wait a minute.
Because
that was something new.
It's something new. It was a change. So it also, something like that can also bring a trigger to a relationship, because of previous conversations that someone had with their ex-spouse.
Yeah.
Or someone they were with.
Because you were used to everyone working in the household. That was an adult. I had a different dynamic in my previous marriage because there were no children. And so I hadn't even thought about it until we got together. I don't think I want to have a 9-to-5 job. I don't mind working or working from home or something like that, but I had to express that desire to you.
Well, you also taught me that just because a person is not working, and I'm sure a lot of moms will understand this.
Yeah.
Just because a person is not working doesn't mean they're not adding value to the relationship or the household. Saving money helps as well. Saving money in every area.
Being able to cook and not,
or with the children,
and not out to eat. Of course, childcare is definite.
Yes, you help with the children by providing them with food from your physical body.
Yes.
And you also cooked for all of us. So that saves on going out to restaurants.
Right. And I know it was hard for you to understand that not having a check weekly or bi-weekly, I don't know how I was getting paid then, that not having it could outweigh having one, or how does that work? Because we were talking about
childcare.
Well, not just childcare, but those are kind of like the obvious one when you have kids, but the traveling, the gas, when we sat down and did all of our numbers, like, this is how much we're spending. This is how much it's taking for us to both work. We were like, oh, well, we can make this work.
We can put something into our own business, and then we can grow that. And, it can help the entire family.
Right. It was in the flexibility too, where now I know when you were a single dad, some of the things you had to do, you had to take off work and, miss work to do those things.
So we're talking about financial stakes are higher and more complex. So, when you came to me and told me that you didn't want to work a 9 to 5 when we had our children.
Yes.
That was a little bit of it took me through a mind shift.
It was like shocking to you.
Yeah, it was shocking because now I saw life a little bit differently.
Yeah. How did that make you feel?
Well, in one aspect, I was, like I said, shocked. But then I came to realize and understand that by you being home, that actually helped us to save money, eliminate loans, and also get better rates on different things that we needed to do.
Right. Eliminated some of our expenses.
Yes.
But it was like a financial pressure that you felt?
At first, I felt a mind thought of financial pressure. And then the reality came that you would help me at home and we would eliminate a lot of our expenses.
Well, there was other things too. Like we were able to see the kids more because I was home.
That's a big one.
You didn't have to take off work.
Less travel.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have to take off work for anything. And so if the kids had like, a day off, they could come and spend with us because a parent was home and then you could come home after work and see them.
Yeah. So when the school shut down on that day that you didn't think was going to shut down and you have to call your boss and say, hey, I need to take this day off because, the snow's there or what have you.
Yeah.
And now I have to stay at home with the children. I didn't have to do that.
Yeah. So we worked that out. That was definitely different because not in either one of our past marriages was that the dynamic.
No.
And so understanding our finances, having a plan for how we wanted to handle our finances in our situation was a big thing we had to talk about.
Yes. And I think that is a vital conversation that all remarried people have to have.
Yes.
Because it's talking about, finances.
Yeah. And it's also, your spending styles. How do you do that? Are you an overspender? Are you an underspender? How are you guys going to work together? It's so much more important in a remarriage because kind of piggybacking on one, there's a lot of emotional baggage that's still there. So any kind of misunderstanding or misalignment can definitely cause, it can cause more of a disruption than it needs to be.
And one thing I'd like to say is I'm very happy that neither one of us in this relationship were super spenders. That's what I would call it, is a super spender. And we're really not penny pinchers, but we are watchers of our funds.
Yeah, I think we try to be wise.
Yeah, we try to be wise with it. And we're not too extreme on either side. We're just kind of, looking to do well, but with each other, by each other, and with our resources.
Yeah. Just being good stewards, I think that did help us. And if you are dealing with someone who is not a good steward, then you're going to want to work together to decide who is going to lead the finances.
Yes.
Who is going to be in charge of that. So in your remarriage, you may need to have separate finances.
Yes. So having that conversation will help to decide on the next step. What do we do with these finances?
Right. How are we going to move forward? How are we going to blend our assets?
Because to me, it doesn't make sense to put the one person who doesn't do well financially
in charge.
In charge. They don't have good financial acumen. They don't understand numbers. They don't want to do it. And that kind of stuff, you want to get past that. Sometimes you may have to have 2 separate accounts for specific areas of your life.
And I know a lot of couples that we've talked to, some say they're concerned about the debt the other one has. And I have seen people pay off other people's debt.
Yeah.
We didn't really have a lot of debt coming in, but I didn't pay off your debt. You paid your debts. I just helped manage you. Like we were saying, renegotiate rates, things like that. But that can be daunting to a person because a lot of times in your first marriage, no one has debt yet, or you're accruing it together or something like that. But with remarriages, people can come with a whole debt, credit card, student loans, mortgage,
child support.
Yeah, that's not really debt though.
But it's
is
money
it?
going out of your house.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about you came with a number
Yes, it could be
of what you owe.
because you're owing more on your vehicle that's not worth as much.
Vehicle, anything. So sometimes that can scare people, especially if, they were debt free and they worked really hard to get everything paid off.
So you love the person, but you don't love the debt. It's like,
and
we have to discuss how are we going to get past that, because I do love you. I want to be with you.
Yes.
But I don't want to be in debt.
So yeah, that financial transparency has to be heightened. Yeah, yes, it has to be better when you're in a remarriage. Okay, so number 3 is children and loyalty conflicts. So this is something very big in remarriages that have children.
Yes, and I think that we have discussed some of these because of blended families. Mm-hmm. And this one right here that I'd like to talk about is step-parent authority boundaries.
Yeah.
Discussing what the non-biological parent can and cannot do.
Right. That's important because you want to give your spouse authority in the home and with anyone living in the home, which would be the children. And how is that going to work? Especially if like each of you have children that are coming in, or in our situation, we had children from one side, but then we also created children ourselves.
Yeah.
So whatever your dynamic is, that is something that you have to, how are we parenting together?
Yes.
And that could be different from how you parented with your ex.
It will be different because you're a new entity and your ex and you were a different entity. So it is a different relationship.
How did you, I guess, train? I don't know what the word is. How did you deal with me being now a step parent and I may have been different or a different parenting style than your ex?
One of the things is that we came together and discussed that I would talk to the child as the biological parent, mm-hmm. and you would be an extension of me. So whatever I decided on there, then you would back me up.
Right. So that's I was like aligned with you. Whatever you say was going to go. I felt like you gave me the opportunity to have input.
And I was going to say, but we did have our discussions together about the situation.
I definitely felt that, but you took the lead as the biological parent.
Yes.
In enforcing anything we discussed, mm-hmm. and presenting anything we discussed, and it just made it easier.
Yes.
Because you didn't feel like there was another parent that was going in a different direction of raising the children.
And also, I think it makes it easier for the child because their own biological parent is telling them what to do. They can't refute that.
Right.
I mean, they do. Children do that anyway.
Uh-huh.
But what I'm saying is it's not the step parent telling them what to do. It is their biological parent saying, hey, clean up your room.
Right.
And so you are backing me up by saying, didn't your dad say to clean up your room?
Yes, it was a lot of that.
Yeah.
Did your dad say this? We didn't really have discipline disagreements, I don't think at all, because of that structure we set up. And if you have children, each spouse has children, then each biological parent may have to
take the lead on certain things. Yeah.
Until trust is built. With children, it takes a while.
It's trust and the bond, because you want to have that bond with the child. They may trust you because you're with their parent, mm-hmm. but having a bond with the child actually enhances the relationship in the family.
Yeah. We also know that children create an invisible pressure to the biological parent in the relationship because you can feel torn a little bit. Mm-hmm. I know there was times you felt like
you have to discipline,
or just what I was going to say with the loyalty is that you and your children, you guys were rolling together before I came in the picture. Mm-hmm. And it was like you and them. Mm-hmm. And then I came in the picture, and now you have to decide like the time. One of the things was the loyalty, even with your time. Mm-hmm. Who am I going to spend time with?
Yeah. That's a big deal. When you come to between your spouse, your new spouse, and your children who you had, it's like, well, how do I build this cohesive environment? And
how did you do it?
Well, I definitely want to let them know that I'm with you.
That
And
you introduced us very well.
I introduced you guys all together. I told them I want them. Well, I didn't tell them. I asked them. I said, "Would you like to meet this person?" Yes, they agreed that they would like to meet you. And so we specifically made a date where you would come around and you met them. They were able to meet you as well.
Right. And it was a relaxed environment. You didn't make our meetings like ready-made family environment. Like we're going out and we had to pretend like we were family. It was always like at your place and we just were hanging out kind of.
So everyone can be who they are.
Get to know each other. Yes, it was. I really thought it was good. I did feel at some point, sometimes like an outsider in my own home.
Because we had our bond already strong.
Right. And that's something that you can feel in remarriage. Even if we both had kids, you might feel like, hey, I'm over here with my child and you're over there with your child and we're not really coming together. If each of you have children, you can still kind of feel that way because I could be over with my child doing something and you could be over with your child doing something. And it feels like we're not bonding together. And you might feel like a coldness. And so in remarriage, because the child is not naturally bonded to both of the parents, you have to be intentional about that. Yes. You have to be intentional about getting together and forming those bonds.
And you have to have clarity. Children need clarity. As much as a lot of people want to discipline or have authority over the child, they need clarity. Like, where are we going? What are we doing? I know that family meetings. I know that you both are the parents, but what are we doing? You know?
Yeah, they need that too, especially after a divorce and after their family.
Especially after a divorce.
Yeah, after their family has been disbanded kind of, and now they're like, what is this? What are we doing? So
if not, then you'll hear that famous, "You're not my daddy. You're not my mommy."
You're going to hear that anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So my thing is,
you're going to hear it anyway.
But to eliminate it is to create a bond with the child. I'm not saying that you have to do everything that they want or they have to do everything that you want. It's like, what do we want? There are things that we can do together.
Yeah.
When I say we want, I'm saying that this is a new house. And it could be we do this over here. Like we go skating, we go roller skating.
Right.
Whereas in your previous relationship in household, you guys didn't do it because maybe one of the spouses didn't know how to roller skate or they didn't want to do that. But now we roller skate here or we go out to the park on Thursdays.
Yeah. There's a lot of newness that has to happen and buy-in, and you want to have everyone kind of on the same page. I mean, the best way is like activities and allowing the children to be a part of planning.
Yes.
And also still having your authority and they respecting the parents in this new household. It can be done, you know, with planning and intentionality of what we want to do so that the kids can have a peaceful transition into this new union. So number 4 is the expectations are higher the second time around when you're in a remarriage.
Yeah. And that's something that I know that we have discussed, which is unmet expectations. You know, some people have expectations that were not discussed with the new spouse.
Well, they feel like the new marriage is the remarriage is supposed to fix everything in the old marriage.
So it's like an extension of the previous marriage, kind of, in their mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to correct instead of creating something new. Yeah. That's something that has to be discussed. Like, what is it that you really want out of this marriage?
Well, one of the things I believe I said before, which I'll say again, which is, what is this marriage? What are we doing? Because if you don't understand that and have a clarity on this, then you will have unmet expectations, because I'm not sure what this is. Is this an extension from your previous marriage? I'm not the same person that person is. So we have to bond and you have to know who I am. I have to know who you are. We have to know who the children are if we have children.
Because it's a lot of comparing.
There's a lot of comparisons, and comparisons are not good.
Yeah, it's comparison to the spouse. It can be comparison to the status you had, physical, financial, emotional comparison. And this is something that you need to discuss. Kind of piggybacking on what we were talking about with, I think it was number 2, but what's the expectation? Is it that I work? Am I bringing in income? Do I want you to be at home more and not get another job? What are the expectations? What are you expecting from me? And people in remarriages sometimes just go with what they
think marriage should be.
Yes, or what the last marriage was.
And everybody wasn't in your last marriage. You have to understand that. Everybody was not in your last marriage.
No.
Everybody has their own marriage, a different marriage, and the marriage that you're in now is totally different than the one you had before. Even if it's not totally different, it is a little bit different. And I say it like that because some people say, well, it's almost the same. It's just like the same thing. No, you're two different people.
Remarriage may seem like it is the same because you're there, but if you did the work that we want you to do before you get into it, you will know that it's something new because you're new.
Yes, you are a new person with new thoughts and new ways of going about living and directing yourself in this new remarriage.
And your expectations of yourself and what you want out of marriage has changed.
Yes.
One of the things I think that discourages remarriage sometimes is because people aren't giving themselves space to start again and grow. So they're really basing their relationship on performance instead of like partnership.
So you're not really learning how to be a good partner to your spouse. You're just trying to perform as a man or as a woman to your spouse.
Well, I was saying it by you are wanting it to be like something else. So maybe, if you were married to a billionaire, right? And then you're divorced. And now you're not married to a billionaire anymore. You're kind of performing.
You're just married to a millionaire now.
I think a big challenge in remarriage is wanting your new marriage to be better or outperform your old marriage.
Whoa, so that's comparison.
It's a comparison, and it's also an expectation. Well, I was married before, I'm married now. Things should be better or different, and they should be, but it's the way that you kind of measure that,
Well, there's a lot of factors that have to go into making it better because you have two different people, two different situations, and as we talked about earlier, two different histories. So now we have to change a lot of things or increase or learn some things in order to make it better than what you are expecting from your, the previous relationship.
Yeah, or that your spouse already knows what you like, knows what you want, knows all of these things.
Or how to get to that level.
Yeah, you have to have a partnership more than just performance. And remarriage will challenge that because due to the fact that you're two different people, and in our relationship, it was so different. Our home life, we both downsized, to start over. And
there's a lot of downsizing when you start over.
It can be.
It can be for some people.
But for us, we wanted to because we also wanted to go on one income in the future. So we were practicing that, then, and we wanted to save to invest and do other things. So we had a purpose for what we were doing. We weren't just...
Well, we also had a purpose for the property that we moved into.
Yeah.
Like we knew that property was going to be an asset and not a liability for us. So that means that it was going to make us money by becoming a rental property.
I think one of the biggest challenges remarriages have is each spouse is expecting their lifestyle to kind of be uninterrupted, or they have an expectation of their lifestyle either being, the same uninterrupted or even better. And sometimes it's not just about what it looks like, the performance side of it, it's the partnership with your new spouse.
Yeah, so you have to have bonding time to help it to grow so that your remarriage grows, and then everything around it will grow as well.
Yeah, so if you are like in our situation, we both downsized our homes so that we could live comfortably and use our other finances for, the investments and things that we had planned for. That had a total different look than what our marriage and our outward showing looked in our other marriages.
Yeah.
And we could not be concerned with performance. We had to be more focused in partnership on what me and you were doing together.
Yeah, and another thing that you can't look at comparing yourself to another relationship, another couple, or even social media. So we made our own personal decisions about how we're going to make these changes in our new relationship and in our new home together.
So managing expectations is a high stake item in remarriage.
Definitely. So the fifth topic is legacy thinking replaces survival thinking.
Yeah, that's so important.
Yes.
That's really good because remarriage requires long-term intentional design. You have got to be intentional about your remarriage.
Yes.
You cannot just wing it.
Everything is on purpose. We're doing this and we planned to do this.
Yes, because life is lifing.
Lives.
And you need to have something in place. It's not going to work if you and your spouse have not come together and been intentional about the direction that you want this marriage to go in.
Well, the interesting thing about this marriage that we have is, I had children in my previous relationship, and then you wanted to have children with me. And so I said, give me 1 year of you and I bonding with each other, and then we can have children together.
Yes, and you planned that, you communicated that to me. It was not just like, I don't know, I felt like you weren't just reacting to the request. You were like thinking about it and you were intentional. And then I could get on board. That sounds like a good idea.
I specifically gave you a date of when we would have a child.
And we did.
And on that date, you
delivered.
That's a good way of putting it. I like that.
Yeah. And, smart couples protect their remarriage fiercely.
Yeah.
So that's what we want for you. We want you to be the smart couple that protects their remarriage, that is intentional about planning time together, planning for the future, planning for your finances, having a vision for your family, and not just assuming that, hey, we love each other. That's going to be enough.
No, it's not enough. It is great, but it's not enough.
No, smart couples know that in a remarriage, it takes a whole planning.
Strategically.
Yeah, and I think we had said that before. It doesn't seem romantic. Like, it can take the romance and the heat away from it, but you can still have heat and romance.
You can still have all of those things, but you don't want the problems, because the problems are the real things that take the romance and the heat away from your remarriage.
And the problems are the things that you did not address, that went unaddressed, and now they have caused something very big, a wedge in your relationship.
Yes. And we don't want wedges. We don't want triggers. We don't want to compare ourselves to other relationships. So we want to create shared vision and values.
That's with discussion. That's with intentionality on why we do the things that we do, why we are communicating the way that we are, why we're doing this. And having that helps people go in the same direction. And usually when you're remarried and like this is my marriage for life, you do want to plan for
the future,
retirement.
Yeah.
If that's, from your job, you want to plan for
getting older
together.
Yes.
Where do we want to live?
Yeah, we're gonna get older.
What do we want to do?
Yeah.
And who do we think is going to take care of us?
How are our bodies going to react? You know, I was thinking about it when you were talking. I was like, wow, I've been with her for 3 different decades. You know, and so it's amazing to me that we've known each other now in 3 different decades.
Yes.
And this 3rd decade is very interesting. You know, this is one of our grown, decades.
It's our grown and sexy decade.
Grown and sexy decade, but it's a lot of work.
That's because we planned a lot to have that. You know, we went through all of the seasons of blended family, of our own family, of exes. I mean, all of those things, and it didn't really catch us off guard. I think that like our first date, we were talking about what are we going to do with the kids when they're like 21?
Yeah.
All of the kids, future kids we didn't even have. We were having discussions, what if scenarios.
Well, we wanted to know how the other person was thinking about what they saw in this relationship in the future. Where are we going? And what do you see about it?
That communication alone will make it feel more like legacy thinking and development instead of I'm just going day by day. I don't know what I'm doing.
Because you're being intentional and you want to be in line with someone along this journey that you're going on.
And you don't really have to feel like, how do I avoid all this disaster? It can be more with, what are we building together?
Yes.
If you keep that in mind, that's going to help. I mean, that's what smart remarried couples are doing. What are we building together?
Because you want to move from reaction to leadership. And especially as a man, we don't want to just be a reactional man. We want to be a man who is a leader. And a leader is going to take charge and know where he is leading his household. Yeah. Where are we going? You asked me, I'm going to tell you this is where we're going. But I also am going to have conversations with you. I'll have conversations with the children, and daddy will let you know this is where the household is going. I'm going to let you know, hey, babe, we're going to go over here. That's what true leadership is. I'm taking consideration from you and from the children in my household, and then we're all going to go in the same direction.
We do that, and you can do that in your remarriage, because we don't want you to be out here just struggling to keep it all together. And remarriage has a lot more responsibilities. It has a lot, like we talk about, emotional baggage. And so there is a way to make that path forward much smoother.
So the second time you're considering marriage, it's not just about love anymore. We hope that this helps you with the 5 ways remarriage raises the stakes, and now you know how smart couples prepare.
Right, and you can approach it with wisdom instead of fear.
Yes. This was a great conversation.
It was needed.
And so thanks for listening to this episode, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.